This is one more round. We're recapping the Tom Aspinall-Alexander Volkov fight, and we are fixing what I'm gonna call a gin and tonic, but it's not really a gin and tonic. Gin and tonic has a third ingredient called lime juice, or fresh squeezed lime. It's definitely a critical component. If I go to a bar and I order a gin and tonic and they don't have lime, I mean, if they don't put a lime in it, I'll ask for a lime. On the rare occasion they don't have any limes, like, I'm not gonna drink that. It is so gross. With a lime, it's the most refreshing, perfect summer drink. It's a warm day today in New York, so it's a perfect day to drink it. And gin, yeah, UFC London. Tanqueray is one of my favorite gins. However, I thought I had some limes and I don't. So what we're gonna do instead, I have lime flavored Kalo. Kalo is a CBD drink. It has a lot of CBD in it. Most have, I believe, 5 grams. I think Kalo has 20 grams. Just water and bubbles and CBD, a little bit of sugar. Makes you feel good. I'm gonna put that in. A very, very poor substitute for actual lime, for actual fresh squeezed lime, which is better than the kind you get in a bottle. Although the kind in a bottle will do. If you have like a home bar, you wanna be stocked. It's always good to have something like that, but fresh squeezed is certainly gonna taste better if it's an option for you. I should stop doing that with my finger. That probably bothers people. I don't know, maybe I don't care. I mean, the problem here is there's gonna be so little actual citrus in this drink. I honest to God don't think it's gonna make any difference at all. Thought I'd give it a try. Taste this. It is a little limey, but I don't think it's gonna make a difference. Put a little more gin in there. Just kind of eyeballing it. There we go. Gin and tonic is a very English drink. Tonic, you can see it contains quinine. There's kind of a legend, it might be true, that the gin and tonic became popular with English soldiers in India in like the 1800s. Who kept getting malaria, and quinine even today is used to treat malaria. It's the English like gin, and since they often would sail with limes, they had a lot of limes because that's how they prevented scurvy. Lime juice can travel well and it's very potent. So if you're trying to get your vitamin C and not get scurvy, look at this, I got a little pry bar here. Maybe we'll try that. There's my stir. It's clean, don't worry. It's, I mean, this end, the end I'm using is clean. Bar equipment. Let's see if I can treat my malaria. That's actually pretty good. Good job, Kalo. Yeah, I mean, it's not, actually that tastes a lot like a regular gin and tonic with lime. I'm really quite surprised by that and pleased as well. So cheers, let's get on to the action. Holy shit. Holy shit. Well, damn, that was, I don't know. That was easily the best fight card I've seen and the most fun I've had watching UFC fights since 2017. Since like, what was that? Like UFC, I don't know, 217, I think? When Michael Bisping fought George St. Pierre and all that stuff. Like, that was an amazing, amazing card. I'm telling you, anytime, like, these London cards are really good. The last one was great. Anytime you get these British fighters in their hometown with the crowd behind them, it just makes magic happen. That's incredible. So start off with, all right, we're gonna do these real quick. So the winning fighter will be the bear, and the losing fighter will be the bunny in every case. So Ilia Topuria. Boom, knockout. He got kneed in the face and like spit his mouth guard out in the first round a couple times. Like he had a takedown. Jai Herbert built back to his feet and then just kind of pieced up Ilia throughout the round. Second round, Ilia comes out. They basically trade hooks. Hook, I think Jai Herbert landed, but he didn't get his guard back up to protect himself. And Ilia Topuria, crack, just knocked him out cold. Just out cold, like a dead body. He was limp, he was just flailing. So Jai Herbert out, Ilya Tapuria, good job. Next fight, we got the Meatball. Meatball Molly McCann. I don't know, man. Okay, who has watched Molly? Who has watched the Meatball and not just fallen in love with the Meatball? She's incredible. She came out like a whirlwind. I was sure she was going to gas herself out in the first round, just throwing combos and like 20-punch combos. Carolina something or other, I forget her last name. Doesn't matter, she lost. Third round. So we go through 2 rounds of basically Molly dumping her gas tank for like 2.5 straight rounds. Carolina having a few moments. Molly got a couple good takedowns. She had like a fucking suplex that was really cool, just like that. No. Molly, somehow, oh, she must have had her over her shoulder, and she dumps her so that Molly lands on top like that. Molly did the dump, but she lands on top. Boom. And she's smiling and thumbs up to the camera. That's to end the second round. Third round, kind of, it was maybe the most exciting women's fight I've ever seen. I can't say off the top of my head. I think it might be. I mean, especially with the finish, because Molly, she gets in this position where they're kind of like bound up. I'd have to look it back to see exactly how, but they're kind of bound up. Molly is looking, right? She's looking, and she's shorter, and she steps off to the side. Carolina thinks she has control. Molly is looking, turns her head, steps back with this foot, back, brings up the elbow, just cracks her, and Carolina fell. Her eyes rolled back in her head. I thought that she might be, I honestly thought she might be dead. And you know who else thought that? The referee. Because the referee, now you're the ref bear, he gets down to check her out, and you think he's like stabilizing her neck, like it, as is kind of customary in those kind of situations. Look closely. That referee, look closely. That referee, he was checking her pulse, man. Like, they cut away, but that referee went down to check Carolina's pulse because she truly looked like a dead body. Just shocking. And then the Meatball, man, she leaps out of the cage, she hugs Dana, she grabs some like knockoff championship belt. She's running around like a mad person. She hypes up the crowd for Patty the Batty, who's coming up later. So, all right, good job, Meatball. I think stole the show, Meatball. Who knows, because the whole card was so fucking good, but Meatball. Next fight, all right, next fight you got Gunnar Nelson versus Takashi Sato. Interesting fight. Gunnar Nelson's more exciting as a martial arts theory than as an actual like performer. Yeah, we're gonna like bring the energy down for that one because it was kind of the perfect middle fight and the only one that went to decision. An odd thing about that, which I don't recall ever seeing before, is you had 2 karate stance fighters. So they have like legs far apart, like wide apart. This fucking guy, he keeps... All right, you zombie. Gunnar Nelson, legs far apart. Same with Takashi Sato. So they were both in karate stance and they were mirrored. That's the thing. I've never seen double karate stance mirrored. And it just looked odd. It did not look like an MMA fight at all. It looked odd. But the way that one played out is another thing I've never really seen before, which was extensive use of what I'm calling back and pound, I guess. Back take and pound. So Gunnar Nelson gets on his back, gets I can't do a body triangle with these, but imagine that he's got his ankle locked under his knee to make a triangle in this little groin space. Got that around the waist. And if you've ever had that applied to you, it just crushes your stomach. It pushes all the air out. It's terrible. It's horrible. Takashi had no way to get out of that. And all 3 rounds played out in the same position. Gunnar taking the back like this. Can't get the choke. He's trying to get a rear naked choke for 3 rounds. He can't get it. But what he can do, what he does, is just beat the shit out of Takashi. Elbows a little bit, mostly just punching him. And wherever... This thing's falling apart on me. I'm being too violent with my zombie bear. But wherever Takashi tried to protect... there we go. wherever Takashi tried to protect his head, say he goes to like protect this part of his head, Gunnar Nelson's coming over here, or he's coming over here. You know, he's got his back taken and he's just like back and pound, back and pound, back and pound. Goes to decision, but obviously it was not a close fight. But it was boring in that it was one position played out for 15 minutes. That can be boring, but it was in a unique position, which makes it interesting. Moving on, Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett comes out just reckless as ever, gets dropped with some kind of like overhand or something. Actually, he didn't really get dropped. He got stung and he shot for a takedown that got stuffed. And then his opponent ends up in essentially mount where Paddy has butterfly hooks. So they fool around there for a while. Paddy gets to his feet. They're clinching. Paddy is able to step across and do like a jiu-jitsu or a judo hip throw, put his opponent down. And this is the thing, that Paddy is not, he's not an elite fighter in any aspect of MMA except for one thing: taking your back, getting that rear naked choke. He can do that, I think, better than any fighter I've ever seen. So once he gets on top, his opponent, who I forget the name of, I don't care. His opponent starts trying to scramble to his feet, and in so doing presents his back. And the second, like the nanosecond his back is presented, Paddy just, he is uniquely gifted at taking the back. His back attack is like, there's nobody quite like him. Takes the back, and then the other thing is his rear naked choke. He can get it in there where other guys, you know, it's not difficult to defend the choke part of a rear naked choke because you know what they got to do. They got to get an arm around your neck. You can use your hands to protect your neck. I mean, in theory, there's no reason somebody, even if they have your back like fully taken, there's no reason they should be able to get that choke because you know it's coming. You know how to defend it. So Paddy just is special at that. I'll go look at that fight again. I'd like to, and his other fights, I'd like to find out more about why he's so good at locking this up so quickly and so effectively. But he did, choked him out, gave an awesome speech, ran around. Molly came back, the meatball came back into the cage, and like they're hugging and jumping, and like Paddy gives this interview where the crowd's going nuts. He's talking shit. Who knows what the hell he said, because it's all in Scouse, in this like Liverpool dialect that you can understand hardly any of the words of. You know, gives him an advantage actually in the cage because his coaches can give him instruction in English that nobody else can understand. His opponent can't understand. We can't understand it. It's just the dialect. Anyway, Paddy did everything he needed to do. The hype train keeps rolling. You know, with that grappling ability, he's always going to be a threat, but I don't know. He's going to get knocked out, you know, sooner rather than later, in my opinion. But I like him. All right, 2 more fights. So Dan Hooker and Arnold Allen. That's a fight that I wrote about. Honestly, I was pretty certain that Arnold Allen would win. Important point: you never bet on a striker dropping weight. There's this big misconception that that being bigger is an advantage. It's not. Speed is a much more important advantage in striking. Being bigger can be an advantage in grappling. Yeah, I mean, it is an advantage in grappling, although skill is still more important. But Dan Hooker is a striker. Coming down in weight, like being the heavier guy, does not help his striking. It doesn't make him you know, hit harder than the other guy can hit, or like, you know, he might hit a little harder than most featherweights, but striking isn't generally about how hard you hit. And at that level, like, it was a bad idea for him to come down to 145. I mean, he had been a kind of spotty 145er. All his success really came when he moved to 55. It was a bad idea. I declined to take a pick in the column, even though I wrote about the fight. I think mostly because I really like Dan Hooker. He's not one of my favorite, but he's a fighter I really like. And it's hard for me to pick against those guys, especially when, like, you know, on paper that fight was a lot more even than it played out. You never know what that speed difference is going to be like until you see it play out in real time. And I knew Allen would be quicker, but I didn't know how much quicker until I got to watch the fight. Turns out he was way quicker. And I did write about this. I told you guys, Arnold Allen can crack. He doesn't have a lot of knockouts. That's kind of random. He hits people hard. He's like wobbled people constantly. He just has fought guys who managed to make it to a decision, but like that dude can really crack. And he came out and just mauled Dan Hooker. I mean, just pillar to post. Like Hooker had nothing for him. I mean, Hooker like had one shot that he cracked Arnold with, and it did like ring his bell. But that was in opposition to like 10 like just devastating shots from Arnold Allen. So yeah, Hooker, I don't think he ever had a chance because of that speed difference, and he needs to go back to lightweight. Go back to lightweight, Dan Hooker. I know it's tough, like you had some bad losses, but go back to lightweight. This is not your weight class. You're too slow for it. Sorry, Dan. Good job, Arnold. Last fight. We're going long here, but last fight. Tom Aspinall, Alexander Volkov. I wrote about this. I was concerned about Volkov having a reach advantage, and he hits really hard. But importantly, combined with the fact that one of the main ways that Aspinall avoids punches is leaning back, like Muay Thai style, leaning back. So, God damn it. So that worried me. Again, you don't know the speed difference until you see it in real time. That one you could have a better shot at guessing because they neither one of them is changing weight, so you can see how fast they are in old fights. It's still hard. Excuse me. It's still hard to tell. In the end, that defensive liability of Tom Aspinall did not come into play at all. And had I known that Tom Aspinall was so good at takedowns, I knew he was great on the ground. I didn't know how good he was at getting the takedown. And who knows, it's a small sample size, but he took Volkov down easily. Took him down twice, ground and pound. I mean, he was lighting him up on the feet with his boxing. He was so much faster, just getting inside, boxing him up. But the takedown, he got 2 of those. The second one, he goes for a straight arm lock. Now, I don't recall ever seeing a straight arm lock finish in the UFC. I'm sure there have been some, but they're not common. And part of the reason why is if you do jiu-jitsu, that straight arm lock is really, really easy to defend. All you do is like turn your elbow down like that, and they can't do the straight arm lock. Now they can do an Americana where they kind of like thread your arm with their arm, and it's a shoulder lock, so they're pushing your shoulder up. It's a shoulder lock, so they've got your bent arm here like locked and threaded with their arm, and they just lift your arm up this way until your shoulder gives out. However, the solution to that Americana is to straighten your arm. The solution to the straight arm lock is to bend your arm. So you can literally get into like a little arm battle where you're just bending and straightening your arm, and they keep switching submission attacks. And in theory, that could go on forever. Straight arm lock is easy to defend. You don't, because your body position is not a factor. Until they really like lace your arm with both their arms, then you might be fucked. But like, you know they're going for that. So Tom must have gotten both arms in position on this arm before Volkov realized what was happening. That's the only explanation. But that was the outcome. You had Tom, I think, in side control, goes to the straight arm lock, and just comes away with the arm. So we're going to leave that off like that. This was an unintentional injury that we will repair to the bear. There you go. So Tom Aspinall comes away with a win. He looks every bit as good as we knew he was. And I really should have picked him in my column. That's the one I regret. I didn't take a pick this week. I couldn't see the outcome for either fight. Originally, I was going to take Arnold Allen and Tom Aspinall for the column. I was also going to do a parlay, and this just fucking kills me. I was going to do a parlay taking all the English fighters. And yeah, I would have taken, let me look at my notes here. I was going to put like, it's just like a $5 parlay, but it was going to be on the Meatball, on Gunnar Nelson. He's Iceland, but I just thought I knew he would win. He was a big favorite. I mean, that's no shock. But Meatball, Gunner, Patty, Arnold Allen, and Tom Aspinall. That's a 5-way parlay. And I don't know, it would have paid off well. I didn't make it. I didn't do any betting. Trying to write the column, getting mixed intuition about what might happen, mixed analysis. It's just, at that point, I couldn't, you know, when you're not sure what you want to do or what you think is going to happen, it's not a good time to gamble. So that's your recap. One killer pick, one more round. Got a broken arm on the bunny. Cheers, everybody.